Hello there, everybody. I'm Laura, and I am back after the Renaissance Fair in Omaha, and we had a great time, and I managed to get everything done that I wanted to get done. And I'm here to talk to you about how I took regular patterns and made my son's costume and also my own kind of cottagecore outfit itself. So let's see, there are 4 patterns that I used. My son's costume was made from a pattern I got off of Etsy. It is called the Josh Tunic, and I will put a picture in up here so that you can see that. That was the tunic top. And then the bottoms were Simplicity 93.79, just the plain old pants. Sorry, I keep dropping my stuff. So then he also made some leg wraps, which are just strips of fabric. I have some right here. I have his right here. So they're just strips of wool that he cut into strips. I made him do it. He didn't really want to. I think he was afraid he was going to mess it up. But I said, you know what, you can do this. It's just straight strips of fabric. So he cut them out, and then he came up with the idea of, because of, he looked at the historical inspirations, and they would embroider. And so he picked out an embroidery stitch on my machine, and I got him set up, showed him how to do it, and he did this on a lot of fabric, and he said it was so boring, and I said, yeah, that's sometimes just the way it is, but I think he's quite proud. I'm proud of him for doing it. I mean, it's not like a lot, but he's already talking about, you know, I might like to have this pattern, and do you think I could do that? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. Just start small and let that be your end goal. So he might be learning to sew now. My patterns were New Look 6163, which is this little shell right here, and then Simplicity 8161, the petticoat version, not the outer coat version. I have some video up close of this, and so I'll talk more about those later. Spencer's shirt was a linen, brown linen that I had gotten from Hobby Lobby, and it's still there because I saw it last weekend. It took about 1.5 to 2 yards of fabric. The pattern runs sizes small, medium, and large. They do have the Etsy shop that I got it from, which I will put in the description below. They did have a next size range, so it would go extra large, 2X, and 3X, I think is how that works. The pattern was only $8 for the 3 sizes, but of course, if you have to get two of them, it would be $16 for the whole size range. The pants were made of a red wool that I bought from the quilting shop that's downtown in my town. They had the wool on sale in clearance in their little clearance room. We traded, Spencer and I. He gave me this pretty yellow, orange linen. It's an orange linen, and I gave him the red wool pants to make the pants out of. And it took about 2.5 yards of the wool. The construction for both of those were really easy. The tunic is 4 pieces. It's the front piece and the back piece, and then it's got a front facing and then a back facing. And the pants were 3 pieces, the front and the back, and then the waistband. There are obviously pockets. I don't know if you saw, these are all the same. You know, there's pockets, but of course, because he was going for medieval-ish, peasant-ish, Norse, Scottish kind of thing, he didn't want the pockets. So made it very, very easy for me. The alteration type things that I did for his costume was totally by accident. I ended up making the V in the neck. I have a really hard time with that slit opening. I can't, like you can see this one, it just is awkward. I mentioned it in the other video, but I'm pretty sure you can hear my youngest son, Blake. He is practicing for, they're going to have district music competitions in like 3 or 4 weeks. And so he's practicing. He's been practicing pretty much all night, and I needed to get my video done. So I apologize that, you know, that's going on. For the other thing about the pants is that the drawstring, there's elastic at the top, elastic at the bottom, and then a drawstring in the middle. And again, because there is no elastic in like medieval times, we just put a drawstring in. It took me 4 to 5 hours, including cutting out, to do both of them. It was very, very fast. I did the shirt, I did French seams. I cannot I think I must, yeah, I did French seams for the pants too, because both the linen and the wool were very frayy, and I wanted them to last. You know, both of those he can wear even just as lounging wear around the house. I think he's going to wear the red pants to school with like a sweatshirt or something. It totally would be appropriate. And then the leg wraps are just some green wool that he had bought. He did buy, you know, all the stuff to make his costume. I did not buy that. Well, I did, but we switched off. He traded me. So it's a really nice though wool, and there's enough left. I'm thinking I might try to get the wool off of him to make a skirt. Here's a little bit of a video for you to see him in action as he moves around and in his costume. The bag that he is wearing, it's his satchel, and it's really funny because it's just a purse I bought several years ago, but it looked like a satchel, and everybody at the place were like, "Oh, we really love your satchel." So it was kind of cute. Because I address a lot of the things, you know, for my review, in my video where I give you a close-up look at this stuff, I'm going to just run that now, and then I'll come back and fill in the gap. Okay, so here is my version of New Look 6163 on the top, and then Simplicity 8161 on the bottom. So I made some changes, especially to 8161, because of a long story that I will get to later. But what I did was to make it a little bit, the top a little more cottagecore, was I used my my embroidery on my machine and just put this leaf design around the top. It goes around to the back, and as you might notice, there's a little bit difference here. It actually stopped from here to here. There was nothing. I put that in by hand. It turned out decently. I don't think you really notice as long as there's something there. And then up here, you can see on the, on the corners, on the edges, where there were the seams and it got thick, the machine would get stuck. And so it is not as nice as it could be. This side, I think, went better because I was prepared for it. But yeah, the other side messed up, and I did end up putting a little bit in by hand, and then I re-ran over this part here because it was really kind of spaced out very strangely. So let that be a lesson to anybody who has never used their machine for embroidery like this. Sorry, that's the dog. It does, you know, these seams are something to keep into consideration. I also just put the same thing on the front here to kind of finish it off. I did not put any on the back. I was running out of time, and I figured, you know, I'm not going to be able to see it, so I chose a color to match the berries here, and I think it turned out really, really nicely. This is a cotton, washed cotton, pink washed cotton from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so the skirt is from fabric that I also got from Hobby Lobby. It's just a quilting cotton. I had some things I wanted to do a little bit differently with it. The pattern calls for ties, right? You can kind of see, hold on. The pattern calls for some ties instead of a waistband. So the way they have you construct it in the pattern is a little different from how I did it. They have you, there's 3 panels, you sew them together, then you pleat it, then you sew the side seams up to a certain point, and then you stop, like this one, up to a certain point, and then you stop, and then you put on those ties around the waistband part here, and then you just tie the skirt on. It's a petticoat, historical petticoat style. So there were some things I wanted to do differently, and so I followed somewhat of the construction. I sewed the 3 I sewed the 3 rectangles together and finished the edges before I did that. Then I sewed up the hem. I hemmed it before I pleated it because it's just easier when it's all flat and straight. Then I used the pleating guides to pleat the front and the back and then baste them together. And then I deviated from the pattern, from the instructions, because I wanted to put pockets. I ran out of time, but I did not want to do the ties. I wanted to put on a waistband. So I just sewed up the side seams for the front and the back. So it's 3 panels in the front and 3 panels in the back. And so I sewed up the side seam, except for on this side I sewed it up to this point, and then I made a little bit of a waistband. I'll explain that in a second. But as you can see, there's like extra little pleats here. That is because after I got it all sewn up on the side seams, I tried it on. It was gigantic, 4 inches on either side. Since I'd already sewed up the side seams, what I did was I just sewed another seam 4 inches in on each side. And sorry, I'm sure you can hear the saxophone. My son is practicing for all-state competition. and I need to get this recorded, so I apologize. Those are called overtones. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's an overtone. Anyway, that's just an odd tone. Okay, so I sewed in 4 inches on either side, and that was sufficient. I took pieces that I had left over from cutting them off. That's what the waistband's made out of. And then, as you can see, I just have a pin because I did not have the time. It was 2:30 when I finally got this to a point where it was wearable, and I was not going to put on a hook and eye or anything. But you can see this part I just butted up along the edge of the opening, and then this part, sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed and it's not going very well. It goes over so that I can pull it back, and then I safety pinned it. Oh my gosh, I'm wondering if how I can maybe hold this. Okay, so just go like this, and then I just safety pinned it onto me. And what I plan to do eventually, because I love this skirt, is to put hooks and eyes on here and hooks and eyes on the inside here and hold it straight. I made a size 18 for my top, went with 3/8 inch seam allowances, and that gave me enough room that it fit really well, really well, except for underneath the arm, in the armpits. And I'm finding that to be common, especially with the like the no sleeve things. It pokes out, and especially with those more structured fabrics, So I just took in probably 1/4 inch at the top and then just slivered it down. The pattern does run, like that's the top of the size run. It's an 8 to an 18. Can I just say though, look at all of the options here. I'm so excited. I want to make the pants. I want to make the jacket. I was happy to find that. It's simple, but it has that nice design. I really like the square neckline. There's supposed to be an opening in the back, and then you do a loop or a hook and eye or whatever, a button with a little loop, and I did not want to do that. It's obvious I could fit it over my head, and so I just sewed it up. They were both easy and both went fast. The thing that was not so good for the skirt was that it was just too big, so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to fix that. Also, in the video I mentioned that I used the pieces that I cut off. I didn't explain though. The 4-inch side pieces that I cut off, I used those as the waistband. I started the skirt around 4 o'clock on Sunday night. I was doing really well by 6 o'clock, like things were together, it's clicking along. I had dinner, you know, I wasn't feeling any pressure. And then when it was 12 o'clock and it didn't fit and I was freaking out, I just kind of like started just kind of throwing it together. And it turned out okay. I am going to make it again, and I am going to make it in a smaller size, probably starting at an 18, because I made a 22. Because that's what it said on the thing. On the pattern, it says it does not give you a finished garment measurement for the petticoat waist anywhere that I could find. So I went based off of the waist measurement, and the 20 was a 34 and the 22 was a 37, and I'm somewhere around a 35. I don't know what to say. I probably should have done a 20, but that still would have been way too big. So I think when I make it again, I'm going to start with an 18 and then possibly even going down to a 16. We'll have to see. My thoughts on all of these patterns. They're all great patterns. They were easy. I've now made the Spencer's pants a couple of times. I made them once for Blake a couple of years ago. That's one of the first patterns that I used when I first started back sewing, and then the rest of them are new to me, but I totally enjoyed them. They will all be in my mind to use again. So I'll put in a twirl. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I'm going to put some footage from the Renaissance Fair at the end. There's a really good musician. He played all kinds of different instruments, but I happened to get him playing What Child Is This? So one of my favorite Christmas carols. So I'll put that in there. And there was some really cool fighting. It was hand-to-hand combat using knives and weapons from the medieval period that people don't usually use. They had a battle axe out. They had some daggers. It was all great fun. Lots of shopping. And yeah, it was just a really good time overall. I appreciate you all for coming and watching this video, and to all the new subscribers who have shown up this last week, thank you so much. I am really looking forward to hopefully giving you some fun content to watch, and hopefully let me know if this is the kind of thing that you like, or you know, if there's other things that you are interested in. I would be happy to start branching out a little bit. This weekend I'm going to do another video updating on my future plans wall, and probably start talking about what's coming up, because I'm almost finished. So I hope you will stick around if you find that to be an interesting idea. You would like to see more from me. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks to everybody else for watching, and I will just see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.